tell you the truth, the sixth floor is so fucking ugly, I wouldn't even wish it on my worst enemy. A drug dealer from Detroit lives in 601. He likes to stand outside the door in his underwear and talk on the cell phone. I walked by one night and he was talking on the cell, all fucked up and completely naked. The co-eds who live in 602 are blonde and quite hot. One of them will sometimes smile at me in the elevator, but they wisely don't speak to anyone. The horse girl lives in 603 with his Australian boyfriend and 2 kids. The horse girl used to work at CVS but got fired. I'm not sure why, but I assume it is somehow connected to him. I've seen him get arrested 3 times in the 2 years that I've lived here. One time he thought this dude in the lobby was looking at the horse girl's ass, and a full-fledged brawl ensued. Fred is horse girl's sexist, yeah. Yeah. The second time I saw him get arrested was in the parking lot. 5-0 had pulled him over for expired tags. When they realized what he wanted, they put the cuffs on him. The horse girl left his kids with the girl at the front desk and went to bail him out. I don't know why he got arrested the 3rd time. I just saw 2 cops leading him off in the elevator.
You were writing before you joined the Underground Literary Alliance. I remember at that time you were working, and then you got laid off or something, and then you started writing a novel, and then I put some in a zine, some excerpts, and then at that point... What's that?
I may have gotten fired.
Okay. At that point, then, you know, the ULA started forming, and we got asked to go to perform in New York. I think is that the first thing you did for them, the Amato Opera House performance?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
In the punk rock district.
Yeah. Yeah, we were right by CBGB's.
Yes.
Yeah, and your first role was heckling me, right?
Don't remember, but I'll tell you what I remember if you like. You know?
Yeah, sure.
My 2 main memories, Ann Sturzinger was real good looking, and I think we sniffed a little something in the bathroom. I remember that the most. Like on stage, like I was doing a Kent State TV show, and I was pretty sharp because I played like a berserk TV evangelist, and I went on stage at the Opera House like I was a berserk evangelist, and I told the people of New York like how much love and respect I had for Bette Midler, but really I have no love and respect for Bette Midler. So in midstream, I changed and made fun of the New Yorkers for doing everything Bette Midler taught them to. So my 2 main memories, Ann Sturzinger making fun of the New Yorkers and Bette Midler.
Yeah, yeah. I remember...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just remember you were heckling me from the audience, and some people thought it was real. And then I was like, well, if you're so smart, heckler, you come up and give a set. And then you came up and did your set.
And now that Red Fright reminds me, I do remember that.
Yeah.
But if you hadn't reminded me, I wouldn't.
Yeah, it rained a lot that day. I remember us walking around the rain and hanging out like in a Dunkin' Donuts for a long time.
I kind of remember Michael Jackman had a crazy dog that would like sit on my head.
Yeah, he ran around circles when Jackman was nice enough to let us crash in his apartment. Yep, yeah.
But, you know, I had a good time. I was tearing it up.
Next thing I remember he was doing was the Detroit reading in 2002. Do you remember that one?
A little bit.
Yeah. What do you remember about that?
Didn't we also, somewhere on the trip, we went to like Eastern Michigan University too? Or no?
No, I think it's later on we visit Potter.
Okay. Then Detroit, you know, I'm telling the stone truth, brother. I remember the Polish neighborhood.
Yeah, Hamtramck.
And like there was a statue of, you know, Pope Rocco. I don't remember his name.
Pope John Paul. I think.
It was Rocco.
John Paul. That's the second.
Okay, John Paul Rocco or Rocco John. Okay. I don't think anywhere else in my life I ever went in the United States that I went into a bar and like the people were speaking a different language, and let alone Polish. You know, maybe you'd expect British or something. That's a joke. But it was cool to go in a bar and the menu was in Polish and like the waiter, the bartender spoke Polish. I kind of remember the venue. It was a little bit maybe like a kind of a all American punk rock venue like a Kent State bar, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember a whole lot about the show. But
Yeah.
you can remind me.
Yeah, it was a fun show. I think Wild Bill was there, Jackman was there, Wenckless. I think Potter was there again. We had met him in New York, and we did. I remember the bartender was all excited because Spin, the White Stripes, had made the cover of Spin. He was showing us the local rock heroes for Detroit.
You met the Big Handsome too, right?
Yes, I have.
He was
Again,
the genius, was he not?
he was a very unique individual.
He should have been in the ULA, shouldn't he?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I've never been over someone's house where it was as filthy as it was in that place, and that they had like a mail drop, I think he had, and the mailman would just push stuff through like the little slot, and he never
Yeah,
picked anything up. It was literally a foot deep in junk mail, and the
he
rest
was
of
there 10 years, and there was about 4 feet of old magazines and mail you had to walk over to get to his apartment.
or through, yeah, and that was probably the cleanest part of the apartment.
And he lived over an insurance agency, so obviously anyone that went to State Farm Insurance saw what their renter looked like. You know? But I went to see him. He moved out to Colorado. No, dude, I've changed mine. I'm telling another story. This was in Kent. I should remember the name of the bar, but I don't. It wasn't the coolest one. The punks might have liked it, second to the Mammoth. But anyway, Big Handsome.
The Loft?
No, right next to the Loft.
The Venice? No.
No, other side.
Zephyr.
Zephyr, yes.
Yeah.
So Zephyr changed names. We're in the Zephyr. It's kind of it's a punk bar, but it's kind of hipster. They're kind of pretty. Big Handsome was 6'2" and thin, but like, forgive me if he's listening, but he didn't get laid very often. Like, girls like to fix him, but he went through a phase where he's like, fuck it, if I'm not going to get laid, like, I want some human contact. So he'd ask girls in the bar to punch him. So one night, every girl in the Zephyr, he asked them, 50-year-olds, 75-year-olds, and some of them did, some of them didn't. But the ones that did, like, he wouldn't stop. He'd follow them into the bathroom, please hit me in the stomach. And eventually he'd be like, no, man, get the fuck away. I'm not going to punch you anymore. But he wouldn't stop. And then after about an hour of that, no girl in the bar would punch him anymore. So he stood in front of the bar and was like slapping himself in the face. I am fucking ugly, fucking David, 7, 8 times, and
Jeez.
No one will let me punch them, or no one will let me have sex with them. He did that for a couple minutes. The bartender kicked him out. So we're walking down the main street in Kent to another party. He's bleeding from his elbow. He's going up on strangers' doors and rubbing blood on their doorknob. We get to the after party, and it's 4 like pretty hot girls. They have a piano in the living room. Big Handsome sits down and plays that piano like a grand pianist. And everyone at that party, man, this is the fucking freak that had been getting girls to punch him, that was crazy, hitting himself in the face. And now he's playing piano like he should be in like Akron. No, New York, not Akron. So anyway, everyone at the party stops and they're just quiet. And so then they're all impressed, like he's a genius. And then he goes upstairs and starts trying to like either get in their beds when they're not there or crawl in bed with them. And that's sexualist again there, Fred. But so I see him doing that. I go up there and he's begging some girl to like let Big Handsome in her room. And she's like, no, go away, Big Handsome, get away. So I go down to the bathroom and there's a hamper with all their underwear. And I have my backpack to carry my peanut butter and Visine, shit like that. So all those 4 girls' panties, I put all those panties in my backpack, get ready to leave, thank them for the party, tell them it was a cool party. and I apologized for the way Big Hanson's acting. And then over the course of the next 3 days, 5 days, a week, they would come up to me like on the street in a academic building or something and ask if I thought like Big Hanson would steal their underwear. And I was like, man, I did not actually see him do it, but like he was fucked up. It sounds like something he might do. Man, like my whole philosophy of life is have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pay attention. I don't want to like butter you up too much, Fred.
Yeah.
The UL from there was about 20 years of my life. Red Fright is blood real, wonderful. I love Red Fright. Anything Red Fright suggested, I joined the ULA. Who I'm talking to through the screen.
Right.
I would just ask Red Fright, what does that dude like? What is? I just went on Wikipedia so I could say the word Rick Moody. I wouldn't have remembered Rick Moody if I hadn't gone on Wikipedia 45 minutes ago. But I go, Red Fright, like, what's the deal with Rick Moody? And then Red Fright would explain it to me. Honest, Aries, real, wonderful. And then, like, I would just believe Red Fright. And whatever Red Fright said about an author, about New York City villain, I would just do, I would ask Red Fright, he would tell me, and I would believe him. And I was ready to play tricks after that.
Okay.
I don't know if the ULA ever unleashed, the fury of like the tricks I could play. But I remember there was some dude giving a speech, and like I told the intelligentsia, like I would go heckle the motherfucker, knowing nothing about him, and they knew I would, and I don't think the ULA wanted me to heckle him.
Yeah.
That's night. Yes.
Yeah, they were actually fairly polite when it came down to it. I mean, you're involved somewhat with. There's like a little tiff with you and Noah Cicero, like him and he. You never met him. He just emailed you, right?
Yeah, dude. I'll be glad to tell that story.
Yeah, I think he was he had left the ULA of some other guy at just at a certain time, and then there was like some infighting in the ULA. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I mean, dude, this could be my real deal, like, I don't know, like a little bit of an apology to Noah Cicero. He joined, I don't pay a goddamn attention to anything. I even said that wrong because I wasn't paying attention to my own sentence. Like, Noah Cicero had just joined. He gave me a friendly email, sent me a writing sample. He wanted a writing sample of mine. I was at a party, man, for like 30 fucking years. I'm true. I hadn't read anything about Noah Cicero. I didn't know what his stories were like. And the one I had written like the day before was about me at a strip club. And I think what I said in that article hurt Noah Cicero's feelings. I certainly never intentionally meant to hurt his feelings. Maybe I should have felt bad because I hadn't read of anything of his before I sent him my writing sample.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if I hurt his feelings, like, I'm sorry. And really, I just sent him the last thing I wrote. Not even imagining it might hurt his feelings.
And for context, Noah's girlfriend at the time was a stripper, so that's what sort of you're referring to there.
What did you say, Red Fright? I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay.
So yeah, there were a little bit which was common throughout the ULA. There was a lot of infighting because there was a lot of personalities that are pretty strong. You never other than that little tiff, I don't remember you getting caught up in any of that. Is that
but
right?
Dude, it did strike me, and you can correct me. I mean, it works maybe now with like podcasters, wrestling podcasters. They kind of live by the feud. Like, it drums up, clicks or clickbait. If one wrestling podcaster, if Jim Cornette is mad at Vince Russo and they shit talk each other more clicks. I thought the literary scene back in the day was kind of like that.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Again, I was stone cold trying to have a good time.
I think from the ULA's perspective, there was obviously some, they were seriously upset about corruption in the literary world, and unfairness and things like that. But at some level, it was ballyhoo, as King Lenclus would describe it, get some attention to literature in general, which is overshadowed by just about every other form of culture, basically, at that time, even more so today. But the other side didn't understand that. They didn't understand. They probably never watched professional wrestling. Didn't understand hyping something in that way, and so they would do kind of mean stuff. I thought in some ways, impersonate Wencless and just
Yes, I remember. I
cause
don't.
grief for
Uh,
people. That Believer article is a perfect example. I mean, calling people terrorists in 2003. I mean, you have to know at some degree that's just irresponsible when you clearly know they aren't really terrorists. That's just there was just a hysteria there at that time. So they did a lot of creep, which definitely made me lose respect for those people for sure. So when you see somebody reading Dave Eggers or Daniel Handler, I mean, I just don't have much respect for those folks. And they got caught red-handed a couple times. Eggers got caught writing reviews for his friends when he claimed that he didn't, and they got caught. I think Handler got caught kind of provoking Wencless, impersonating him, or there's just kind of creepy stuff.
yeah, dude, I remember that. I mean, honestly, I don't know what Dave Eggers looks like. I've never read any Dave Eggers, but in 2023, if I ask someone what they're reading and they tell me they're reading Dave Eggers, I kind of think they're not one of the people,
Yeah, I'd agree. It's sort of like what NPR or some cultural arbiters of stuff that's semi cool would put forth.
I mean, I would tell the little ULAers, if you don't like what the rich people are doing to you, you should pay a visit to your local weatherman. I mean, like the first thing that popped into my head, you were like prefacing it with talking about like the academic world, the publishing world. I got it published. I got a new job in Iowa. Perhaps the biggest review I got was from the Akron Beacon Journal. And like, the dude reviewed it. No one in New York reviewed my fucking book. But the Akron writer did it. So at the very end, he could say the name of my school and like try to get me fired at my school.
Okay.
Like, Blah University should know what kind of person they have employed as an English professor. So my number one memory, I don't know, I went on a fucking book tour with you, man. I thought Potter was wonderful, hooked me up every time, was honest. I was certainly partying. I didn't edit very well. I was hoping, Potter was partying too. But yeah, dealings with like it was. I like, the more like assholes in a room smelling each other's farts, the less I wanted that. I sent Potter my stuff. He liked it. He gave a little advice. I changed a little here and there. I was fucked up. Didn't edit it. If it's sloppy, it's on me. Potter was real, easy like Sunday morning to work for.
Yeah.
And then one time we went to his house. He had decorated it for his kids. I remember, like, I'm in my parents' yard right now. There's trees, but Potter had, like, from a merry-go-round horses.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Carousel horses. That was awesome. Yeah, he did it for his son. Yeah, maybe the other kids.
And I don't know if his son climbed up in the tree, but there was a trampoline. It was a wonderful house, like for a kid.
Yeah, it looked like a great place to grow up.
Yeah, and more than anything else, I thought when I went there, what an excellent father Potter must be to like arrange his whole house to be like a playland for his kids.
Yeah, yeah. And that brings us.
That's my number one Potter memory.
Yeah, it brings us to the tour. So the book comes out, and I think I should also add that like the thrust of ULA was kind of working. Their ideal writer probably was a steel worker who wrote on the side, like a Ron Androla type from Erie. But for whatever reason, even though there were some of those guys in the ULA.
Someone's calling me, but I'm not going to pick up.
Okay.
I think it's my mother calling from in the fucking house to heckle me.
Oh, do you need to see what she's all right, or?
I do not. No.
Okay. So,
but dude, if she comes out in here in her house coat and calls me hog, pig, monster, two-ton Tony, who would marry you? Too fat. I'm surprised you're white.
It'd be like one of the novel scenes coming to life. basically. If anybody's read your stuff, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Mama is a prime character.
I'm not gonna. Maybe I'm old enough not to say that, like going out for the documentary. But
yeah.
if she comes out, you'll get a sense of what she's like.
Okay. So we'll try to hurry up here, but their ideal.
She didn't punch a bunch of nurses either.
Yeah. Their ideal.
Police didn't come. Mama's on point.
Yeah. Their ideal image would have been like a Ron Androla character working in a factory, rights on the side. But for whatever reason, those people, maybe they just didn't have their act together or whatever. They ended up with us, and I think they were a little suspicious of us because we were pretty marginal, graduate students in English at some, average Midwestern university, adjunct instructors, but we were still kind of viewed as the establishment or MFAs, even though we didn't have MFAs. What have you. But anyway, the ball came down finally to us, and Emus came out, my book, and then I think they did James Nolan's book, Security, and then Fat and the Vine by you was third, and then we spearheaded, Nolan was in France, so we were the ones who did the book tour, and we ended up booking on our own several cities around East Coast, Midwest, did New York City, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Baltimore, we stayed with Pat King, we did, where else did we, Chicago, Quimby's, and may have been a couple others that I may have forgotten at the time. What do you remember about the I think they called it the Underground Invasion Tour?
I mean, dude, first of all, like you said, we did the bookings. It was all you, brother.
Yeah.
I was hammered. It was all you, all Red Price. So, Crazy Carl will tell a story, it'd be funny, but if you need the job done, call Red Price.
Yeah.
If I remember, Baltimore was in like a socialist.
Red Emma's.
Red Emma's.
Yeah, like a
Red
socialist
Emma's
feminist bookstore. Not the ideal setting for the ULA, but still fun.
Red Emma's had some hot girls too. But I think the story I told or read was about like stealing library books or defacing library books. And the socialist crowd did not like that at all. I don't remember. Maybe you do. If I apologized to them on stage or just kept rolling, I don't think I did.
Yeah.
So, and then afterwards, like there were these two hot girls. I had a good time at Red Emma's. I probably like Red Emma's more than Red Emma liked me.
Yeah. I think it's still there too. That bookstore. I haven't been there since that tour date, but I think they're still around, so that's good.
Philly, the dude was this cute little like Satanist guy. And his wife had died, and he was trying to keep his bookstore
Germ
afloat.
Books.
So, what was his name?
Germ Books was the name of the bookstore.
Germ Books, yeah. And there were little notes about how to flush the toilet, and they had it. It was the stage was wired. I remember there was a S&M girl in the crowd, and I called Big Handsome from the stage, and Big Handsome was like getting high in his living room, and the S&M girl in Philly would be like, David, what are you doing? Nothing. David, I'm gonna come over there and like cut you on your ass and your taint and your butt. And he's like, Big Handsome's alone. There's a girl on the phone. He's like, oh, come on over. I'd love to have a copy of that tape, but for about 20 minutes, this S&M girl kept trying to beat Big Handsome's ass over the phone, and he was playing along. You
attracted some groupies during that tour. I remember there were a couple in Philadelphia. That was interesting. She might have been one of them.
I'm the kind of writer that is on stage, like, it can be performance art or comedy, and we call the Big Handsome like I won't read.
Yeah.
So that's probably my favorite reading of the 6 nights.
You were passing out flyers with his phone numbers, like win a date with the Big Handsome or something like that?
I mean, Fred, I don't know, like, I could go in that fucking shed over there and tack to my dad's wall between Muhammad Ali and the Three Stooges is that flyer with the Big Handsome phone number in my dad's shed right over there.
Yeah.
New York, it was nice. It was a cute girl around the bookstore. My friend Eric came. Mm-hmm. There was a little bit of a heaviness in New York. Like anything you did, it was, for the money, everyone was watching. It was a nice bookstore. The owner was nice and cute.
Yeah.
But I kind of remember a heaviness. Cleveland was all Red Price. It was like 75 of Red Price's closest friends. his beautiful wife at the time. We're all there just celebrating Red Pride. A lot of my friends too. Like over the years, my friends or Red Pride's friends sort of became my friends.
Yeah.
But
Pittsburgh was like that
I
too.
thought
I
it was
remember
kind of like
Pittsburgh.
a celebration of. I don't want Mama to come, but yeah, dude. Cleveland was a lot of fun. Like all your friends were there.
Yeah. I think Pittsburgh was similar that way. We have quite a few because those are kind of home territory for us.
I remember something about like one of my students who was kind of snotty, who eventually moved to New York and got snottier. Her dad was a Youngstown car dealer. But I really liked her, and she brought her friends. But I remember her being kind of snooty at the Pittsburgh show.
Okay.
I remember Mike D's sister.
Yeah, Lisa. Yep.
It was a nice. You arranged easily the nicest bookstore I've ever read in.
Yeah, that was forgetting the name now. I think they're still in Cincinnati, but they were expanding regionally. JB, I don't remember Johnson. I don't remember the name of it now, but
has Red Pride had so many Guinnesses he doesn't remember?
I just don't. It's been
you don't remember.
Yeah, it's been a while, and they moved out of Beth Johnson Beth Joseph Beth. Yeah, they moved out of Cleveland a few years ago, so it's been a while since I even thought of them, honestly.
Dude, maybe I'll take back what I said about that girl from Youngstown. Joseph Beth Booksellers was easily like the nicest bookstore I ever read.
And they were very nice to us. They made like posters. They did a really nice job promoting that event. That was probably our largest crowd. Even
that was bigger than Cleveland?
I think Pittsburgh was, yeah.
I would have guessed Cleveland.
Because Cleveland, we do max backs. You know, it's just that little basement. You can only fit so many people down. It was really nice, but
no, Cleveland was like a coffee shop.
Oh, did we do Cleveland? That's right. Maybe we did. Cleveland might have been as big as Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh might have just been the biggest bookstore. Yeah, that was Bella Dubby. I don't think it's now Taco Tano's up here. It became a taco restaurant now.
But that bookstore was beautiful. It was classy. Yeah, I like that bookstore.
And then we did Quimby's in Chicago. And at one point, you thought one of the characters from your novel, Julia, showed up, or her aunt had shown up. Yeah, I remember that was interesting.
I was pretty hammered early in the day, and I really thought Julie was going to come. She didn't. I think maybe she always said she had an aunt that was kind of like Edith Bunker, or I know Gene Stapleton was like pretty classy, but the character. And a lady came. I think you might have been the first one that picked up on it.
Yes.
We thought Julie's aunt came to that show.
She had sent a spy. Yeah. Or a surrogate.
It wasn't a big crowd. The bookstore was cool. A-Hole, one of our she's in some of those zombie movies with the butt pirates from Butt Pirates. A-Hole came. I was excited. A-Hole came.
Yeah, that was great to see her because she had just moved, I think, so we hadn't seen her.
But I don't think it was a big crowd.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Quimby's a nice store, and then the worst night where we went off the plan. We were supposed to stay at your place in Iowa, and for some reason we thought it'd be smarter to drive through Michigan, and we were just going to get a hotel somewhere, and I don't know what was going on, but there was something that was just booked up, and we drove through the entire night, stopping every so often to see if we were far enough away from this event to find out. I think it was like 5 in the morning. We found a hotel and we were able to sleep. That was a rough night. I remember that from that tour.
I think it was some kind of Chicago beer fest. Chicago Milwaukee beer fest.
Yeah, that was rough. That was a rough, long night of no sleep and having to drive for just hours upon hours. Yeah.
I sort of remember watching like the public access.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
That was some crazy public access, whatever was going on there in western Michigan.
Man, I hope this rockumentary maybe restirs some interest. It doesn't seem like 2023 pop culture much is going on.
Yeah.
So like kids seem to be revisiting the 90s, the 80s, the 2000s. Maybe something, if this documentary catches fire or something, or I know Pat is making movies or like smaller documentaries, maybe someone will revisit the ULA one of these days.
Yeah.
I did kind of wonder if the thing we talked about before about just picking a little fight like the podcasters, you know, maybe he was just, you know, picking a fight for the friction a little.
Yeah.